So there is a serious problem going on within our scientific community. Take, for example, Gunung Padang, located in Indonesia, the world's oldest pyramid that almost nobody has ever heard of. In fact, it dates back more than 25,000 years, and there is still a chamber 50 feet down that has not been excavated. And one can only imagine why more than 34 professional scientists have literally campaigned to prevent this site from being excavated. And you want to know why? To protect their own grant funding, because grant funding equals a paycheck. You know, guys, just like politics, the government, the news media, we've all seen in the last few years just how corrupt things truly are and how money-focused our world society has become. And unfortunately, it has made its way into the mainstream scientific community. In fact, this happened a very long time ago, just that most people weren't aware of it. Now, let me share with you a little bit of information about this site. Gunung Padang, it's also just known as a megalithic site. It's not a traditional pyramid like you'll find in Egypt or Mesoamerica. It was carved out of a mountain. In fact, you can see some of these illustrations here to get you a feel for what they believe it looks like. And it utilizes natural stone blocks, basalt, volcanic rock, that is essentially hexagonal shape. I mean, this is the same phenomena that we've seen elsewhere in the world. You may be familiar with what's called Giant's Causeway in Ireland that many people thought was a megalithic site. But after listening to Dr. Robert Schoch explain this, I mean, we've seen this elsewhere throughout the world, numerous sites, and it's just a natural phenomena. And the people that lived there, or that built this megalithic site, and I can show you more details in just a second, utilized these stones. But speaking of Dr. Robert Schoch, who got his master's and PhD in geology from Yale, or Dr. Danny Hillman, who got his doctorate in geology from Caltech. Guys, these people have visited the site, conducted excavations. They've proven that this site is incredible, that it's not natural in itself. It is literally a megalithic site that has been built upon itself over tens of thousands of years. Because through evidence obtained through 2 different core samples, which identified at least 7 items that dated back more than 25,000 years. Am I the only one that's just completely disturbed about the fact that 50 feet down, there's some sort of chamber, possibly carved out of a lava flow, but there's a large structure that's artificial, something man-made, 50 feet down, never been seen before. We don't know what's in it, and that there's been almost 3 dozen scientists that have tried to stop us from finding out. I mean, that is freaking disturbing. Now, as you look at these photographs here, it's easy to understand that some people may have thought, as they did, that it was just a natural site and it wasn't man-made whatsoever. Of course, the drill samples prove that the deeper they go, the older it gets, and it goes back at least 5,000 years, well, at the surface, and it goes down to 12,500 years, 20,000, 22,000 years to 25,000 years. Again, the deeper they go, the older it gets. Now, to kind of give you a picture what this may have looked like, if you go to nearby Pompeii, and when I say nearby, it's actually a few thousand miles away. I guess it's in the same region, but it's an island. It's pretty incredible. But when you look at these stone walls here, same exact thing. These volcanic rocks, same shape, and they stacked them on each other. And that's what we're looking at here over at Gunung Padang. And it's also worth mentioning that if you go halfway across the world to Machu Picchu in South America, you find these level terraces of stone walls, and it's the same thing that they're finding, or at least similarities of, to that of Gunung Padang. But of course, the big mystery is about this underground chamber. 15 meters down, about 50 feet. They've identified it through, like I said, 2 core drill samples as well as ground-penetrating radar. You know, like you've seen from Jurassic Park. And this technology has developed significantly, and they use it in so many different ways throughout the world, whether it's in industry, whether it's just doing maintenance and utilities. And it's helped archaeologists find dinosaur bones, it's helped civil engineers fix city problems, and so many other things. And since I'm discussing ground penetrating radar as well as corruption within the scientific community, I have to discuss Dr. Zahi Hawass, who is the Minister of Antiquities for Egypt, a government position, a politician, assigned by the President of Egypt. This guy, I have to tell you, because I have received so many comments about him on all my videos about ancient Egypt, that this guy is a total liar, he's a total fraud. And I know that that sounds kind of extreme, but, you know, I've heard so many other people say it. And upon doing research on my own, oh my God. And I have to bring it up because this guy is considered by many, and by himself included, the world's most famous archaeologist. He's also been referred to as the Pharaoh himself. This guy has given tours throughout Egypt to leaders throughout the world. He's written books, he's made a ton of money. And he has also denied numerous examples of the most recent scientific data that has presented itself, or presented the scientific community, such as the true age of the Sphinx. In fact, I highly recommend, and I'll include a link to where you watch a debate between him and Graham Hancock, where he completely denies the use of ground penetrating radar. He's denied the age of the Sphinx and refused to even discuss it. He's denied Göbekli Tepe, which is dated at 11,600 years ago. You've heard me talk about it. And this guy, the way he's responded to any new information has been extreme. I mean, this guy has walked out on people. He's been incredibly disrespectful. He's included people of being liars and thieves, which is a really interesting thing for him to say because if you're not aware, he was accused of stealing artifacts from the Great Pyramid itself. He denied it. He lied his way out of it. There's a lot of information there. A few people went to jail over it. They say that he was the reason why they were able to do it. He got away with it, guys. And this was all after the fact that he had got fired from his position itself. So I guess that's good news all the way around. And let me just say, because this is actually a negative message, let me say something good about him. On live TV, he acknowledged that the 100-ton stone boxes located at the Serapeum, I've mentioned this in multiple videos, which are a complete mystery. He himself has acknowledged that they have no idea how they did this. He has no idea how they fit them into the nooks, which, at least one example of it, it's impossible to move it in and out of the nook itself. And the fact that they were machined down to within a level of accuracy of 2/10,000ths of an inch. And yes, that is an example of lost ancient high technology of some kind, but I'll leave it at that. But I digress. And going back to Graham Hancock and Gunung Padang, I would never even have heard of this site if it wasn't for the Joe Rogan podcast with Graham Hancock where they discuss it. And where it stands now is that they're supposed to start excavations back up. It had been delayed by a couple years, from what I understand, and because of all the political drama. And once Indonesia got a new president, he was presented the information, the evidence, and said, yeah, let's get this going again. In fact, they're going to increase tours. They're going to have a whole train system set up so the country can have people see this site more often. And again, they're going to continue their excavations. I'm waiting on more information. And this site being at least 12,500, according to the mainstream, even though there's enough data that they use to show that it's more than 25,000 years old. They at least acknowledge that it's one of the oldest sites on Earth. And the fact that most people haven't even heard of it, and again, you could look at this thing like, well, I'm not sure how impressive it is. But guys, there's a chamber 50 feet down and who knows what's in it. We're talking going back to the beginning of the last ice age at 26,000 years ago. So this site is unbelievably interesting. Dr. Robert Schoch, who I highly recommend you look into, he discusses it in detail and all the overwhelming evidence of that this isn't natural, that this, you can see, and he outlines it in great detail, of all the evidence that this was a very sophisticated site, and what you're looking at here is something that has deteriorated over tens of thousands of years. Anyways, guys, I'll keep you posted when more information comes to light about this. I highly recommend you check out grahamhancock.com as he's been giving updates about this, but it's been a little while, so hopefully some new information will be coming around soon. And I'll be making a full-fledged video at some point in the future outlining all the examples that show that the mainstream scientific community is literally ignoring the most recent data. Guys, this is not what's supposed to be happening. We're seeing that people with egos, people that don't want to be wrong, people that want to protect their paychecks, they are running the show, and the implications of the fact that the true history of ancient human civilization is far older and was far more advanced than we were ever taught in school, the implications are significant. Because whatever happened to that civilization that made it just get wiped out will eventually happen again. And when you control the past, you control the present and the future as well. And we need to learn from the past, and at minimum, it's incredibly interesting. So I'll leave it at that. Leave me a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are. But I'm Jimmy, this is Bright Insight, and I got many more videos to come on a whole wide variety of topics. Take care, everybody.